Hello everyone, welcome back to another RuneScape Cabbage video. Today we're going to be looking at a piece of content called the Odyssey. Now, this was made by Aurora and I. I pretty much did all the programming, of course, but Aurora did literally everything else. She did all the dialogue, she did all the conceptualization, and she planned out everything that I'm about to show you. So what we're going to do in this video is first I'm going to walk through the introduction and then go over the general concept of the Odyssey, and then we'll go ahead and look at some of the behind the scenes stuff. I highly advise you play it yourself because it's a great it's a great thing to get through. Kind of scratches that kill a bunch of monsters itch that things like Slayer do in RS3, I guess, but this is not Slayer, not even close. In my opinion, I think it's a little more fun because you actually have kind of like a goal and you aren't just training some useless skill. Anyways, so in order to start this, you're going to have Legends quest done, so I'm on an account that has all of the quests completed. And you're going to want pretty good combat stats. Now, you're probably going to hear me call this the Combat Odyssey a couple times. I might just slip up and call it that, because that's what we called it during development, but at some point the name was changed to just the Odyssey, which honestly is a better name. But yeah, I'm just kind of used to calling it the Combat Odyssey, so if I call it that on accident, I'm sorry. So anyways, to start, once you finish the Legends quest, you're going to want to talk to Radimus here. You can talk to either version, but we're going to talk to this one. It says, hello, how are you enjoying the Legends Guild? You say it's great. He says, I have a task for you that's truly fit for a legend. You will fight beasts in the highest mountains, the darkest caves, from everyday foes to obscure forgotten monsters. A combat odyssey, if you will. If you do this, I will reward you an item truly fit for a legend, something no one has worn for hundreds of years, not even me. What say you? And then we have two options here. Of course, we're going to say, that sounds like just the task for me. And then he says, excellent. You may go and talk to Siegfried upstairs. He will get you started. So now if you talk to him, he just tells you to go talk to Siegfried, as does the Radimus outside. They're not the same NPC. You can look if I right-click them. Oh, are they this? Yeah, if you look, I right-click them, they actually have different NPC IDs. This one's 785 and this one's 735. But I did go ahead and code them so they both have the same dialogue when it comes to this quest. So, originally you would go and talk to Radimus. However, this time, during development, we changed it so that when you walk up the stairs is when the next event happens. So when I walk up the stairs, look at my player and then look down at the chat box. A small goblin scampers across the floor and jumps into your backpack. Oi, psst, you there, big human person, huh? Get out of my backpack, you awful creature. Absolutely not awful, I'm here to make proposition. What sort of proposition could a backpack goblin possibly make? Going on a big long killing spree, yes? Me looking for big long adventure. Me join big dumb human. And why should I let you join me? Big long killing spree has many tasks, many things to keep track of, yes? Bigum could keep track of dirty, boring paperwork for you, and big dumb human bring Bigum on big long killing spree. I suppose that could work. What's in it for you? Me greatest adventurer of Ironclaw tribe. Only greatest adventurer is good enough for Bigum Floodrot. Very well then, where should we start? He says, now go talk with goblin generals in village north of Fallington. North Fallington. They tell big dumb human what first things to kill. So, yeah, he kind of intercepts us before we can even talk to Siegfried. You used to have a dialogue option here where you would say, like, tell me about the Combat Odyssey, and he would, and then you would get interrupted by Bigum, but it didn't really make sense because then, you would just be staring at Siegfried while the whole interaction went down. But yeah, now we have a goblin in our backpack. If we examine him, it says Bigum Floodrot, Goblin Hero. And if we talk to him, we have a couple options. We say, where should we start? And he just tells us to go talk to the goblin generals again. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now, fun fact for you, the name Bigum Floodrot, we actually got from a Magic the Gathering card. It's a really old one. It's called Goblin Soldier or something. I can't remember what the actual card's called, but it has a quote. It's like the flavor text at the bottom of the card. It has a quote, and it's attributed to a goblin named Bigum Floodrot, so that's where we got the name from. Oops, go to Falador. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and walk up to Goblin Village, and I'll be right back. Alright, so here we are. You need to talk to General Wartface or General Bentnose. Their dialogue is handled exactly the same, so it doesn't matter who you talk to. But Bigum starts off, General of Lowland Village, big dumb human and is on big long killing spree for Radamus, what kills he do? Ha, this gonna be good. Shut up, Wardy, and give tasks. You shut up and give tasks. Floodrot, pay attention, cause humans not too bright. Yes, yes, give things to kill. And then they, quite amusingly, in my opinion, list off all of the things that we have to kill. So this takes a little bit because there's quite a few things for us to kill. You can see most of them have 500, except for some of the trickier to kill mobs or mobs with less spawns or slower respawn rates. We have less than 500, but for things that are pretty easy to kill, yeah, you have to kill 500 of them. So we'll just let him finish up here. I think Ivan Disciples is the last one. So yeah, human can ask Flutterot what to kill first, come back to us when done with these. So now we can talk to Bigum, and we have a couple options. This fourth one is obviously, because I'm on a developer account, normal players wouldn't see this, but these other ones allow us to interact with our our current task. So I can say, what is my current task? And Bigum will tell me, human needs to kill 500 dark wizards. So the tasks, out of that big list he just told me, which we can see again by clicking on option number 3, what tasks do I have left to do? We can see all of the tasks that are assigned to us. And as we complete tasks, we can these will get removed from this list. Now you can only work on the tasks that you currently have assigned to you. So if I were to go kill 500 spiders right now, that would be a waste of my time. It wouldn't count towards my progress. I can only work on my current task. And like I said, that's selected randomly from this entire list. So the second option, this is a flavorful option, a lot of fun. I highly recommend as you're doing this to click on this for every mob that you have to kill. Aurora spent hours and hours coming up with unique lines of dialogue for each task. So if we click on it about the dark wizards, he says, Bigum tried killing such things for precious stones, but big dumb wizard keep dropping keys same color as beetroot. Bigum likes beetroot, but keys not taste good. So that's a reference to the one wizards you can kill and you can get the red keys. I don't remember what they do. I'm sorry. I'm not very good at this game, but yeah. Some of the dark wizards drop keys for something or other. So anyways, what I would do is I would go off and kill the dark wizards. In fact, let's go to Varrock and kill a couple. So I'll just kill one really quick. Hopefully, yeah, looks like it won't take me too long to punch him to death. So now if I talk to Bigum, and I ask him what my current task is, of course the number left is going to update. He says I've already killed one out of the 500 that I need to kill. And if I look at the big list by choosing option number 3, it should just say, yeah, 499 dark wizards instead of 500. Now, I'm going to use developer options here because I am not going to just sit here and fight 499 more dark wizards. I'm not crazy like the people that actually grind out this thing. Anyways, so I have a couple options here. Now, If you're a developer or above, in Cabbage we have, or in the OpenRSC frameworks, we have different levels of moderator. There's like 8 of them or something. It's like basic user, player mod, and then it gets really confusing up from there. But if you're like a developer role or above, which includes regular moderators and admin accounts, you can view these options. If you're a moderator or above, or maybe it's super moderator, you can use Bigum on other players to be able to access these options for them in case they get stuck at some point. You know, if I coded something wrong and they got stuck for whatever reason. Like we had a issue where I put the wrong NPC ID in for one of the NPCs, so a player was killing chaos dwarves and it wasn't counting properly, and so I just had to skip the task for them after they killed the 500. Anyways, so yeah, as you can see, I can set myself 1 kill away from task completion. This was to test the, you know, getting assigned a new task after you finish one. I can mark my current task as complete. I can mark my current tier as complete. I'll talk about that in a second. Or I can complete the Odyssey itself. So I'm going to set my task 1 kill away, and Flutterot tells me I've been set to 400 out of 99 for my Dark Wizards, and I can confirm that if I ask Bigum what my current task is. He'll tell me I need to kill 1. I've already killed 499, so let's go ahead and kill 1 more so we can see what it looks like when you have killed all of the ones for your task. So when you do it, you get the little bubble. You hear Bigum trying to get your attention from your backpack. So now you know to talk to Bigum. Now, here's the thing. Actually, I'll mention that in a second. So when you click on him, he says, human done here, now kill 500 goblins. So yeah, basically, you don't have to go back to the goblins at any point during this. Bigum will keep track of everything for you. If we look at the what tasks do I have left to do list, you can see that the 500 Dark Wizards aren't on here anymore. So as we complete tasks, like I said, these will get crossed off. Now, the thing with this is that I actually don't have to have Bigum in my inventory to be able to count down the tasks. So if I drop Bigum right now, Bigum Flutterot drops to the ground and scampers away, you can probably find him where you first met. Now he's no longer in my inventory, but if I go kill a couple goblins, so we'll just kill this guy. Wow, insta-kill. Okay, and then I'll go pick back up Bigum from the Legends Guild. Alright, so to retrieve Bigum, I'm pretty sure, yeah, you can either talk to Radimus or you can go back up the stairs. So you can see here a small goblin scampers into my backpack, or I could go up to that 2nd level stairs and retrieve him there. But yeah, now if we talk to Bigum, ask him what my current task is, you can see that it still has counted the 1 kill. Now, the only time you actually do need Bigum is you actually need Bigum to be able to complete the task. So I can go ahead and kill all my goblins or whatever, right? And it will keep counting for it, even if he wasn't in my inventory. But once he says the whole, like, you're done here line, you need to talk to him again to be able to move on to the next task. Because that's the action that actually moves you up to the next task. It's not killing the final mob that moves you on to the next one. It's talking to Bigum again, but I'll go over that more in detail when we look at the code for this. So anyways, yeah, so to use the next developer option, I can mark the whole task as complete. As you can see, I get the speak to Bigum for next task again, like I said, because in order to get the next task, it's the talking to Bigum action that actually does that. So now we got 500 chickens and so on. So I'm not going to do this. Like I said, there's tons of enemies. It'll take me forever even to just click through and click the complete option for all of these. So that's why I added this 3rd option. And here's where, as a regular player, you would learn about the tiers. So what would happen is you would go through that whole list, right? And you would be like, holy cow, I'm almost done, right? I've killed so much crap. This has taken me, I think each task would probably take you around an hour at least. So you're like, oh, I've just spent like 8 hours on this, 10 hours. So then what would happen is you would kill your last guy, and Bigum would say, he would say, human dumb here, speak to Bigum to know where to go next. And then he would say, human has finished all tasks, speak to goblin generals north of Fallington. And you're like, okay, cool, I must be done with the Odyssey, so let's go talk to the goblin generals. Alright, so here we are, let's talk to them. Well done, human. Here is little help for final task we give. So he gives you some stuff. After every tier, you get some stuff, and then they give you another list of things to kill. The second tier for the Goblin Generals only gives you one more thing. It only gives you the Monks of Zamorak, so that's not too bad. But I think as a player, you probably start realizing what's about to happen, right? You're like, oh no, there's more things to this. And so, yeah, that's where the tier component of the Odyssey comes in. So after completing all the tasks in a tier, you go back to the task givers, I guess you could say, and they will move you on to the next tier. Like I said, your task is randomized within the tier, but the tiers are in a set order. That way we were able to control the difficulty while not creating bottlenecks, right? Because if everyone started off killing 500 chickens, we would have like 3 players trying to kill chickens all at once, and that never works out very well. So that's why we went with this tier system, so we could group monsters of similar difficulty together, and you would just get a random monster in that group. Of course, there are tiers like this one that only have one task inside of it, because we did want to gate certain things. Like, for example, there is a tier with only poison spiders, I believe, and that's so that we could give you cure poison potions right before that tier, so that you would have those. Because like I said, after, I'm pretty sure every tier, or at least most of them, you get some rewards. So here we got stat restore potions, we got giant carp certificates, and an amulet of strength, and a rune med. So the interesting thing about this, let me go to Varrock here, is that you'll notice that giant carp is not a regular fish that you can catch in RuneScape. If you're unaware, giant carp is actually the fish that you catch during the fishing contest quest. I don't even know if you can get any more after the quest is over. So Aurora and I use the Odyssey as an opportunity to kind of give you silly food items. Like, I think you can get lava eels later on. And there's a couple other silly things. And so the thing is, though, certificates didn't exist for these items, so we actually had to create certificates for these items. Like, I don't even think stat restore potions had certificates, and we had to create new certers. So that's what these two guys standing on top of each other are for. There's one in a black suit and one in a gray suit. You can see this guy has a bow tie and this guy has a regular tie. But this is Randolph and Mortimer. If you get the reference, you've seen more movies than I have, but that's Aurora for you. Anyways, so yeah, these guys, each certificates, different kind of things. So this guy will do your seafood, so he does giant carp, lava eels, manta rays, and sea turtles. So those are the food items we added to the Combat Odyssey. And Mortimer here, he does a couple other things, like the stat restore potions, I think, and he also does rune stones, because we had a lot of people asking for rune stone certification. Oh yeah, and cure poison potions and poison antidotes, so you can get certs for those too. And if you're unfamiliar with RuneScape Classic certs, each of these can be exchanged for 5 of the item. So I don't have 20 stat restores here, I have 100 of them, right? Because 20 times 5 is 100. And then I have 1,000 giant carps worth of certificates here. So I'm actually going to be done on this account because I can't really do much more as a developer, or at least it would be a pain because I can't do my blink around the map thing on this account. So I'm actually going to get on to a admin account and we'll do the rest of the Odyssey. I'm not going to show you all the in-between tiers because, you know, that can be for you to figure out, but I do want to show you the end and the reward. So yeah, let me log into my other account and we can take a look at that. So one thing I did want to show off while I'm doing this is there are a couple items you can use on Bigum to get him to say things and do interactions with him, but I'll leave you to figure out the rest of those. Also, I did want to bring attention to one of the taskmasters before where the heck is he? Anyways, one of the taskmasters, that's what we call the guys that give out the tasks, is Hazelmere, wherever the heck he is. I always have a hard time finding this guy. There he is. And if you remember from the quest, he speaks in like, you know, you can't understand him. So basically you have to go back to the Grand Tree and get the gnome translation or whatever it's called. We actually had to make it recoverable because it isn't originally recoverable. Yeah, so let me get that and I'll tell you more. Alright, so now that I have the tree gnome translation, I can talk to him wherever he just went. Gosh dang it, where did he go? Oh, here he is. So yeah, he talks in this weird language, which you can actually translate 1-to-1, you know, to English. Every like 3 symbols or so is a letter. And Aurora, she went through and translated literally everything on her own. And I feel bad for this, but I didn't want to go through and type in all this stuff because it just looked super annoying. So what I did, and because of the way I wrote the Odyssey, which I'll show you in a minute, what I did is I went and wrote a translator in the code. So she kind of translated all the stuff into the gnome speak for nothing. Let me show you what it looks like. So yeah, this is what the translation book looks like. So she did this manually for his whole set of dialogue. Let me show you because he actually has another set of tasks and we can see one of his other lists. So yeah, I do kind of feel bad for that because at the end of the day, she probably didn't have to translate any of this because I could have just, you know, ran it through my translator function. But yeah, she did it and she was really into this whole content and dedicated to it and everything, and it's very impressive. Anyways, I'll be back now when I'm done with this. Alright, so at this point, Radimus tells you that you're on your last mission. You have to kill 500 black dragons. So if we go do that, or at least make the game think that we did that, we go talk to Radimus one last time, and then he tells us that we've done it. But then he kind of psychs us out because, of course, we can't end off the Odyssey with having you kill 500 black dragons. We have to end off the Odyssey with you killing the King Black Dragon. There we go. Anyways, so yeah, by this point, you've killed pretty much every attackable monster in the game. I think we missed a couple, and we're working on revising that for the future. We have some other monsters in mind to add to it, but yeah, at this point, so if I go ahead and mark this as complete, we'll mark this as complete now, and we've finished all the tasks, and this time Bigum says go claim big shiny reward from Radimus. So this whole time, yeah, you end up getting the last few tiers from Radimus, and Bigum, every time he tells you to go talk to him, will say, don't talk about Bigum. And you're kind of probably at this point wondering, why the heck does Bigum not want me to talk to him, to Radamus, about him? And so at this point, we finally figure out why. So he says, "Well done, legend. You have completed the combat Odyssey. It's promised a reward truly fit for a legend. As a matter of fact, you will get to pick between 2 dragon plate mail legs or a dragon plated skirt." So we'll pick the legs. And he says, "Here you are. You truly deserve them." And then Bigum, or Radamus, gives you your reward. Bigum join human on big long killing spree. Bigum complete quest Radamus give. Bigum legend now is Radamus promise. Radamus looks surprised. You actually managed to kill one of everything. The legend guild has never had a goblin before, but I suppose it's fair if you completed such a hard quest. Bigum actually didn't do any killing. It was, "Congratulations, Bigum Floodrot. The Legend Guild welcomes you as its newest member." Well, whatever, I guess. Bigum scampers away, probably to go retrieve his very own Cape of Legends. You have completed the Odyssey one time. Speak to Radamus again if you'd like to do the Odyssey. Speak to Radamus again if you'd like to do the Odyssey again. So yeah, the Odyssey is repeatable, and so you know, it kind of has like a prestige here. Every time this number will go up. I think at some point we were planning on adding a Odyssey high score, or maybe that's already in the game or on the website actually. I think it is. So far nobody has completed it more than once, but I know a few individuals, probably just one, have said that they are going to try for at least 2 or 3 completions. And secondly, one of my favorite parts of this whole story is that, so the reason Bigum ended up agreeing to help you in the first place is to kind of scam you. So he had originally made a deal with Radamus that if he killed one of everything, he would get to join the Legends Guild. And so that's why he follows you along on the quest. And then he tells Radamus about it, and Radamus believes that he has done that when it's actually you that's done all the killing. And so Bigum gets to join Legends Guild. You can see he has his tattered little Legends cape here, and he wanders around the guild. Now this was something I had to add in because if you remember when we started, there was no Bigum in the courtyard, so you can't actually see him unless you've completed the Odyssey, or unless you're an admin account, or if you're holding him. If you start the Odyssey over again and you are holding him in your inventory, you won't be able to see him. But now, even if you're doing the Odyssey again, when you drop him, he shows back up here, and so you can just talk to him again. So now we have a couple options here. We can ask him what happened to his cape. He says, "What? Oh, Bigum tore hole on accident while fighting dragon." Yeah, that's right. Bigum fight big scary dragon. Also made Bigum's cape dirty. Or we can say that he kind of cheated to get into the Legends Guild. He didn't do any of the kills, and he says Bigum helped Big Dumb Human do all kills, even if Bigum not swing the sword himself. Bigum legendary at making sure things dead. I suppose, but Radamus thinks you did it on your own. Bigum, big famous goblin legend now, could easily do it himself. Now leave Bigum alone, not want to talk more nonsense. And then you can tell him that you want to do the Odyssey again, which he will say, yeah, go talk to the generals again, and he hops into your backpack. Now, normally he would disappear because he's in my backpack, but because I'm on an admin account, I can still see him. Now, there's actually a couple interactions you can have here while he's in your backpack. How are you standing here? What does human mean? How are you standing here in this courtyard while you're also in my backpack? The base drops as you open your backpack to show Bigum to Bigum. What? No! No! This isn't right. Go away. Bigum looks like his mind is going to explode. So yeah, that was just kind of a joke I put in for the other admins, because no regular player would ever be able to get this interaction. Because like I said, as long as they had Bigum in their inventory, they wouldn't be able to see him here. So this is something that only an admin account could see. And yeah, I was kind of going for like those Caleb City videos, right, where something crazy happens and then the bass drops and they like scream and stuff. Anyways, so that's the end of everything that I wanted to show you in game. Just remember, definitely don't forget to check out Bigum's dialogue for each task. Some of them have really, really like obscure references and stuff, and seriously, if you can get some of them, we'll like, I don't know, be amazed. Cause yeah, there's some of them are like 3 layers deep of references, which is Aurora did a lot of work with a lot of the what can you tell me about my current task dialogues. Lastly, I guess I should go over, here's all the rewards you get from the Odyssey. So besides what I've already talked about, you get a rune square, rune battle axe, you get some cure poison potions, blood runes, you get lava eels, a power amulet, a rune large helmet, a poison antidotes, rune kite shield, prayer potions, a what the heck are these called? Dragonstone amulets. You get a rune two-hander, manta rays, sea turtles. You get a dragonstone ring, which of course you can enchant into one of the 2 rings that you can enchant this into. You get super attack potions, super strength, super defense, so 100 supersets, and then you get the dragon legs or skirt. Anyways, yeah, I'm gonna hop out of the game and hop into some other stuff now and kind of show you how I got all this to work. Alright, so first of all, I want to show you one of the things that I'm really happy with how I did this. So first of all, Combat Odyssey, the tasks and tiers I put into JSON, or JSON, or however the heck you want to pronounce that. And the reason I did this is so that we could make the Combat Odyssey configurable a lot easier. It's not hard coded, at least most of it isn't. So I can make changes to a lot of things from here, and I'll just kind of go over all the different things that this represents. So first of all, each of the tiers has an ID. Typically the tiers just go up by 1 each time, so there's really no point to have an ID, but yeah, it's just nice to have. The tier master ID is the NPC ID of the tier master, so this would be the ID for one of the goblin generals. I can't remember which one. This is an array for the rewards that you would get. The first tier doesn't give you any rewards, so you don't have anything in here. And then I have an array that contains all the tasks within a tier. So each task consists of the following. So you get a description, which is just the name of the monster you're supposed to kill. And then you have all of the NPC IDs that count for that task. So, for example, with spiders, there's actually 3 different types of spiders you can kill to get the credit. You can kill the small, tiny spiders, you can kill the big spiders, and one other type of spider, I can't remember which kind. But yeah, it's one of the other kind of spiders. Blessed spiders and poison spiders and I think jungle spiders all have their own task. So yeah, it's one of the other generic ones. But like rats, for example, there's like 8 different kinds of rats, or 6, I guess. There's the tiny ones, there's the big ones, there's the witch's house rats, there's the dungeon rats, all kinds of rats. So I had to make sure that there was a way where multiple NPCs could count towards the same task. Then you can specify how many kills you want for the task. So like I said, most of them we set to 500, except for, let's find one. Some of the harder ones, like imps, right? They only spawn in certain places. So you wouldn't want to have to worry about killing a ton of those. Your best bet is probably to just go to the Karamja volcano, right? And even then, I think there's only like 3 or 4 spawns there. So it still takes quite a while. Task info dialogue is something that we don't actually use. It was an idea when we were planning the Combat Odyssey where the task master would have a little bit to say about whatever task you were currently on, but we figure that would probably be way more dialogue than Aurora would, it would be way more than she should probably be writing because she was already writing all the monster info dialogues. So yeah, we just kind of canned this, but I left it in here just cuz, but it doesn't get read in by the code or anything. It's basically just a waste of space, but it doesn't really matter. But yeah, the monster info dialogue are the lines that Bigum will read out to you when you ask him, what can you tell me about my current task? So for example, Imps dropped the best loot, Bigum once killed biggest imp ever, Bigum got a blue helmet, traded it for pointy stick. So, as you can probably guess, in RuneScape Classic, imps are just scaled down demons, and so he's saying that he actually killed a demon. He got a rune helmet, but he traded it for a pointy stick instead, because Bigum doesn't really know what's valuable, right? He's just a silly goblin. So yeah, let me go down a little bit, and we can see, here's the whole first task, or whole first tier, excuse me. And then we move on to the second tier, which is, tier 1, because I'm a programmer, so we start counting at 0. And, we have the tier master ID, which is, again, the goblin, one of the goblin generals. And the rewards here are what you got. I think it was like a rune medium helmet, yeah, I can't remember, the potions and the giant carps and stuff, right? So those are the rewards you would get and how much of each of those you would get, stuff like that. And then here's the task. If you remember, this tier only had one task. It was just the Monks of Zamorak, right? So currently, if I go all the way down, you'll see that there are, come on, keep going, 14 tiers, the last one being just the King Black Dragon. We are, I think, planning on adding an extra tier in the future, though, so kind of a little sneak peek for you. Anyways, I'm going to hop over to IntelliJ now, and we'll look at some of the code. All right, so there's basically 2 main Java files that have to do with the Combat Odyssey, and then there's just stuff sprinkled here and there. So first of all, there's this one I called Combat Odyssey Data. This one is basically just the file that reads in the JSON. Nothing too fancy here. It's just, yeah, it just reads in the JSON. I don't really have anything to say about this. So we'll move on to the other file. So this file is the meat of the Combat Odyssey. This is where everything happens. And I don't want to go over everything with you because it would take a very long time, but I'll essentially walk you through kind of how this works, and then we can look at a couple things that I want to point out. So essentially this file is where I consolidated all of, or at least most of the dialogue that has to do with the Odyssey. There are some specific functions that are in other NPCs, so for example, if I were to go into the Grand Tree file here, for example, here's some of Hazelmere's code for dealing with the Odyssey. If I go down here, here's the function I wrote for translating the gnome speak. It was kind of an annoying function to write, but yeah, like I said, kind of feel bad that I wrote that when Aurora spent the whole time translating everything. Technically, I didn't use it for everything. Like the regular dialogue, I just wrote what she gave me. But for listing out the monsters that you have to kill, I just translated those because those were read in from JSON, right? So right here is where it's, this line right here is where it's getting from the JSON, it's getting all the tasks and accounts and translating it into, Hazelmere's weird goblin, or gnome speak, sorry. Anyways, so yeah, the rest of everything is around here. So for example, here's the meet Bigum function. This is called when you get up the stairs and it plays that little scene where he talks to you and stuff. And essentially, as you progress through the quest, your stage your quest stage is going to get set. And the quest stage is something that I'm actually kind of happy with the way that I made it work, because I kind of wrote it in a way that would save space in the database so that you didn't have a ton of cache values for one quest. I actually got the Odyssey into, I think, 3 cache values, which is, in my opinion, pretty good because it probably could have taken up a lot more if I was a little less smart about it. The downside to the way I did it means that it's a little bit harder to fix someone if they get broken, and that's why I added in the developer options on Big'em. But let me go ahead and explain this. So first of all, as you progress through the beginning of the Odyssey, there's different stages for your quest. Just like with any other quests in RuneScape Classic, you go through different stages. So if you haven't started, that is considered quest stage 0. If you've talked to Radimus about the Odyssey, that's quest stage 1. And then as soon as you meet Big'em, that's quest stage 2. And then I have -1 set to be in progress. Now, how do we deal with that? So essentially, anytime you do something, right? So as you talk to Radimus and he tells you, oh, go upstairs and talk to Siegfried, that's his name. So once he tells you to go talk to Siegfried, it sets this to 1, that writes it to the cache. Now here's how the cache value works. So if I go to the function, the cache value is actually a string, which is kind of weird, right? Because I just showed you the stages being numbers, so why would I save it as a string? And if you're unfamiliar with that, strings are text. And that's because only for the first parts of the quest does the stage matter. Once you get past meeting Big'em and once you start getting your tasks, I actually use the quest stage to keep track of where you are in the Odyssey. So let me show you how that works by looking at this function here. So essentially, the way this works is that where I store the Combat Odyssey cache key, once you get past the, like I said, once you get past the initial stages, I start saving it differently. Instead of just being a singular number, I actually save 3 numbers to the same cache key separated by colons. So let me open up Paint and show you how this works. So essentially the way this works is I first save what tier you're on, okay? So if you've just barely started, you'd be on tier 0, and then you would have a colon, and then I would save what task you're on. So maybe you got told to kill goblins, I don't know, maybe that's task 2. Then I would have another colon, and then this last number keeps track of how many kills you've done. So maybe I've killed 122. So this is what the cache key would look like. So basically, what my code is doing is it's looking to see if the cache value looks like this or if it's just a single number. If it's a single number, either 1, 0, 1, or 2, it knows that the Combat Odyssey is still in the introductory phase. If it looks like this, it knows that the Combat Odyssey is currently in progress. So this makes it really easy to keep track of where the player is in the Odyssey, right? I can keep track of what stage tier, what task, how many monsters they've killed, right? Pretty straightforward. If you think about this a little bit, you might notice that there is kind of a problem. And let me kind of talk about this, and maybe if you don't notice it yet, you'll be able to notice it. So like I said before, where is it? Right here. After talking to Big'em, after, killing all the enemies, you actually are given a new task, and this is the function that does that. So basically, what it's doing is it's getting the current tier that you're on, and it is getting the data for that tier from the JSON, right? What we do is we look to see all of the available tasks to us, okay? And then we loop through and look for a task that we haven't already completed and, try to assign a random task that we haven't completed yet. If we have completed it, we add it to a list saying, hey, we've already done this one, don't try to do this random number again. And then we keep doing random ones over and over again. So here's where the trouble comes in though. Because you can be assigned tasks randomly, this number right here, the one that says what task you're on, this isn't sequential, right? So you could be on task 2 and then you could get assigned a new task and you could be on task 0 or you could be on task 10 or 9 or whatever, right? It can go in any order because the tasks are random. So how do I keep track of which tasks the player has already done? That's where these two functions and my second cache value comes in. So I have this second cache value called Combat Odyssey Tier Progress. And let me tell you how this one works. So the way this one works is what I do, let me open up a new place for me to draw on here, is essentially I create a number, a binary number that has as many digits as there are tasks, okay? And then what I will do is using bit shifting and math, and if you aren't into computer science, I won't really go into this because it can get kind of complicated if you're unfamiliar with the concepts, but I'll show you the general idea. Is whenever a task is completed, I just flip that specific bit. So for example, let's say that, yeah, I complete task 2 because that's the one that I was working on, right? So I would say 0, 1, 2. This one, this bit right here corresponds to task 2. So then what I do is using math, like I said, and bit shifting and all that kind of stuff and exclusive ORs and everything, I flip that bit to a 1, and now inside of the cache value, the Combat Odyssey tier progress value, I have saved the value of 4. This is the binary number equivalent of the number 4, right? And so when I look at this number, I know that I have completed task number 2, 0, 1, 2, right? If I end up completing another task, so maybe the next task I get is task number 0, okay? So what I would do is task number 0 would be this one. So then I would just use my bit shifts and my exclusive ORs and everything, and I would set that bit to 1, right? And now, instead of saving 4 into the value, I would be saving 5. And whenever I would need to check if a task has been completed, again, I just check to see if that specific bit is flipped to 1. Again, it takes some bit shifting and math and stuff, but for computers, this is all really simple and really fast, actually. So to humans, unfortunately, this kind of makes the tier progress a little bit illegible because all you would see in the database is the number 5, but the computer knows that 5 means that you've completed task number 2 and task number 0. So yeah, it's good for speed and it's good for storage's sake, but unfortunately it's just kind of a little disadvantageous for humans. Lastly, the third and final cache value isn't super crazy. It's just the one that I keep track of which Odyssey prestige you're on. So as you complete the Odyssey, the prestige goes up by 1, and I save that into the cache value, and that's the one that gets read for the high scores. Not this one. It's right here. It gets your current prestige and increments it and saves it into here. So that's actually all I had to say about the code. If you want a more detailed explanation, I would be happy to make another video where I go into how bit shifting and the mathematical operations that I use. I guess technically they would be bitwise operators. I don't know if that technically counts as math. But yeah, I think this video has gone on quite long enough, and I think that's a pretty decent explanation for anyone that's just curious how this kind of stuff works. But if you're more into computer science, I can definitely show you how that works on the more technical level. Anyways, so yeah, just to summarize, this was a lot of fun to work with Aurora to make. It probably was the work of, I don't know, at least like 3 or 4 months. I probably didn't take me as long to write the code as it took Aurora to write all of the dialogue and sort out the tiers and actually go through and figure out which monsters she wanted to include. I had to get her a list of all the attackable monsters, then she had to pick which ones she wanted for which tasks and what order, and the rewards and all the dialogues, like I said. So I definitely think she did the more work here. My job was comparatively pretty easy compared to everything she had to do. So huge thanks to Aurora. And yeah, like I said, if you have any questions or anything you'd like me to go into with more detail, leave them down in the comments and I'll either answer them there or make a second video with some follow-up answers and things. When we do end up coming out with an update to this, if it's substantial enough, I could make a second video about it. But yeah, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.